Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis, update of commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. I'll interject my financial opinions as we go through it. If you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com. That's where I dive deeper into all of these topics, sectors, areas looking for potential investment opportunities. We do have a question and answer session coming up this weekend at 5 p.m. Sunday. It's at Mountain Time. We're going to cover portfolio position sizing, risk, reward setups, physical metals, and my allocations and why I allocate to certain things a certain way. There's reasonings behind all of it. So we're going to go over and through all of that stuff. And there's definitely a lot of reasoning behind it, probably going to be delivered to people in a way that they maybe have never heard before. I don't go into sectors, percent allocation to gold, percent allocation to this, that's not how I do it. And I'll go and describe how my approach and strategies are and why I have those approach and strategies. That is most of the reason where I get my returns. So we'll go through all of that. If you're interested in signing up, we do have a coupon code special that's still active. Black Friday, it's one word. Go ahead and sign up. You can get a 50% discount on the first month only if you want to try it out, and you can always switch to the yearly membership. If you're on a monthly membership, you can switch to the yearly and use this code to get further savings if that's what you'd like to do. All right, so we're going to dive in here, starting with the dollar, the DXY. We have a large down move in the DXY. Down 0.75%, which is very big on a dollar currency movement. We are still on top of support, though. It looks good to try to break through, but we haven't broken through yet, and we'll see if we can get some momentum. Someone asked me, um, what would give me confidence that we are breaking into a new downtrend? Well, it's not just about the dollar. We also need to look at the dollar with the framework of other currencies. And some of our investments are in the framework of looking at currencies against the dollar. So we've had a very strong dollar. What this does, it puts a lot of pressure on a lot of different currencies and a lot of investments, asset classes that are non-dollar denominated areas like emerging markets. So emerging markets are going to do very well when this dollar drops in relationship to the currency that you want to go up. That's the bet you were making. And then money's going to flow to that stronger currency and away from the weaker currency. We've got the 2-year yields that are backing these. We'll call it the monetary policies that back the currencies are the driver of strong or weak dollar or whatever other currency you're comparing it against. So we are pulling on back. We're down about almost 1%, 0.9% or so of the 2-year yield. And we'll see if that will continue. If it does, that's generally the whole group of yields, the 2, the 10, and the 30. If they all drop, generally that is a cause for the DXY to drop, as long as it's dropping faster than the other currencies' monetary policies. 10-year also dropping about 1.4%, and that does look pretty weak, and it looks like it wants to continue lower, and it's generating a little bit of momentum here. Call it a new trend. It's generating a beginning of a trend. And then 30-year yield, we pulled back 1.2%, but we're still at the crossroads of support. So we'll have to see if this breaks on through it. And we get a full trio of different time frames all dropping at the same time. TYX TNX ratio, we are moving sideways with this. We are still inverted, so to speak, and the curve on the longer end of the curve is moving up and down together. The 30 and the 10-year moving roughly at the same pace. When this moves up, that is where you get the yield curve on inversion, gold going up, all of those things, and a potential slowdown in the market at some point. TLT, which is bond prices, moving on higher today. We are underneath resistance. There's resistance there and resistance here. So it's got a lot of work to get through all of that resistance. Now, keep in mind, we've got a lot of trading that occurred back here in the mid 2000s. That's going to act as very strong support when you go into it, and it's also it's going to act like mud trying to get out of it at some point. So that's kind of the current spot that we are right now with bond prices. The 2 and 10, as weird as this is, but the curve inverted today. Not a huge tailwind behind gold with the yield curve inverting for the 2 and the 10. It did invert a little bit with the curve falling though. So we've got a slight tailwind with the curve falling, but the way and the relationship that these two are moving to each other didn't give us a full-on tailwind. So we got a little bit. The dollar dropping is a tailwind. The way that the curve moves also is a tailwind or a headwind. And this is a little bit of a headwind with the tailwind of the dollar. Now, I could go to GC. Now, we had contracts roll over, so I'm going to go to XAU USD. So we were up about 0.14%. It was basically a cancellation of the headwind and tailwind. We've got the uptrend line going here. We have a big bearish engulfing, and we've got all of these large red candlesticks. You see all those in that box there? There's one here, there's one here, a couple here. We got another one here. We broke down out of that support trend line, and we're doing a retest here. And I think that could potentially roll over or go sideways. Think of it as a consolidation. We also have an inverted flag pattern that is being created, which means we could see further downside pressure or sideways. Sometimes they go like this in gold. Silver up about 0.6%, and that's also another contract day, so we could do XAG USD. And there it is, looking at it from that perspective, down 1.13%, and the momentum is still lower there. We've got a bearish, there's a lot of big red candlesticks here, and I don't care what the reasoning necessarily is. You can also put a trend line here coming on up, and we've broken through that too. However, which way you want to draw this, if you want to draw it that way or whatever. Then you've got obviously support lines going across all through here. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on here. Either way, we've got downside momentum. We've got larger selling pressure candlesticks that are showing up in this box on the right-hand side there from this point onward. And then you can see we have a bearish engulfing here. This could be more or less just a flag pattern that is breaking lower or consolidating sideways. That's kind of how I'm viewing it at this time. We've got platinum up a teeny bit today, but we still have a good support area down here. And that's where I would be looking for potential entry points. Palladium down about $10, and that does look a little bit, like we could pull back a little bit more. I'm just also combining that with what gold's doing and silver's doing and where platinum's trading. So these all do have, I'll say, influences on each other. I do think we could head a little bit lower, maybe come back to that 916 area. GDX is up a little bit. We've got GDXJ up a teeny bit and SILJ. They're all roughly the same. I think the momentum is still to the downside on most of these, and that is still in play. We have not reversed that, and I don't see any candlesticks giving me the warm fuzzies yet. So we've broken through the uptrend line to the downside. We get a little bit of a return move, and we could potentially head lower still in the short term. XAU to gold ratio, again, we're at a very ideal point for gold and silver mining companies in relationship to gold at a very low level. Now, just because we're low doesn't mean it has to go higher at any rate of speed. It just means that we're at a good entry point potentially for gold and silver mining companies. And then you got to look at the technicals of the individual companies. You got to look at all that stuff. And then you got to look to see if gold and silver are in an upswing. And if it's in an upswing and this is cheap and the technicals and people are swinging money around, it's most likely going to go higher. Now, we are missing some of that information. We're missing some of the money rotation because they're all getting sucked into crypto and technology right now. And I think that's probably going to put a peak in at some point, and gold is going to rip. I'm still in that camp. And I think that they work under different market conditions. Crude oil moving sideways, flat. We've got a larger selling pressure candlestick here, and then we also have the big buying pressure candlestick. We've got good support at this level down here, and we've got the inability to kind of break through this. We kind of broke out, but somehow somebody slammed this thing lower. Now we want to see what follow through we get here. Are we going to follow through to the downside, or are we going to come back up and rip to the upside? I'm in the upside camp. I look at I look at the barrel counters, I look at the inventory levels, I look at the deficits, I look at all of that stuff. But there could be underneath somewhere a slowdown in the markets. It's still possible. I'm going to continue to watch it. TTF gas down about 1.5%. Not much selling pressure there. Your beginning of this pullback is this bearish engulfing there, and then we have to see what the follow through is. It could just be the beginning of a sideways consolidation. And then natural gas in America down 7.85%, but we're still above all of these support areas. So yeah, we came down and we sold off, but we're still above all of this support there. So it's still technically in an uptrend, but we could pull on back or consolidate for a little bit. XOP, yeah, you know me, up 0.01%. Huge day, XOP. Downtrend broken, and we've broken through all of this resistance garbage ahead of us. Now we want to stay on top, and we want to gather our feet eventually and start working our way on up. Now, this also, XOP is kind of the counterweight to gold. Gold could go into a consolidation and oil could run, and we could see interest rates go up again at some point. We'll see if that occurs though. And interest rates in the short term here that we just looked at were going down. Kind of a funky looking deal going on here because generally when interest rates go down, you see gold go up and you see oil trend either lower or sideways. So there's things that are not lining up at the moment. OIH also a little bit higher today, and we're underneath that resistance line that we're trying to break out. And there's your W bottom or double bottom. Newcastle coal futures down just a little bit, 0.3%. Probably down a little bit due to nat gas being down, but still looks okay. Still looks fine, and we're above support. We're underneath resistance, and we could cycle back around or do something like that. Sprott Uranium Trust up about 1%, and the momentum's still down. We haven't turned around yet, but it still looks okay. You just have to be patient, wait in this gigantic flag pattern that we're in. It will break, guys. I'm pretty sure this is going to break to the upside and have a very big move eventually. Uranium futures pricing just moving sideways. We've got uranium shares of ETF just moving sideways above support. Looks okay. URNM also just moving sideways for the most part, looking okay. And URNJ moving sideways, looks okay. We're broken out, and then we're just flagging out. Still looks bullish on all of them. Copper up about 2.3%. It is a contract switch day, so it might be a little funky. I'm not sure if it was actually up 2.3 or not, but right on support. Copper up a little bit for the ETF, and that's just a big flag pattern looking good to work its way on up. Iron ore up 0.1%. It is at support, and I think this is still waiting for the dollar to drop before the big move. We've got aluminum, which has not broken out of that resistance area. We're at a pretty good location for aluminum prices, but we just haven't broken out yet. Nickel up 0.4% or so, and that looks like it's trying to bottom and work its way on up eventually. We'll see if that occurs. We've got Mu up 0.4%, and I think this is going to start hopefully an uptrend at some point. We've broken to the upside of this downward falling wedge, breakout, retest, and then hopefully we can start working our way on up eventually. Now, here's the thing, guys. This is all about patience. Getting shares cheap down here and then waiting for the move higher. Emerging markets up 0.14%, and we have been tracking sideways here over the past couple of weeks. KRE down just a little bit there. The momentum is up. Maybe we get a short-term sideways action consolidation here. TAN up 1.53. It likes lower yields, likes the lower dollar. Lithium up a little bit, 1.5%. And we are playing with this downtrend line breakout. I think we'll break out. REMX also up 1.7% or so, right at support. We're just bouncing on support here. We are on the right-hand side of this downtrend line, so I do think this is going to work its way on up. There's a reason we broke through that downtrend resistance line. Baltic Dry Index up about 3.4%, right underneath support resistance. So we're oscillating around that resistance area. XHB down just a teeny bit. Not too bad. Consolidation sideways. Still looks good to go higher with time, especially if we get lower interest rates. Russell 2000 working sideways. Still looks good to go higher. This is just a little flag pattern there with a big pole. And we're sitting on top of a bunch of support. So that looks good to go higher. The S&P 500 down a teeny bit. Down about 0.4%. Still looks good to go on up. And then the NASDAQ down just a little bit. This is an amazing chart. We've got like rising wedges everywhere. Even a false breakout and then the selling pressure down, that's even a kicker there. And somehow it's continued to go on up. So the plunge protection team is doing great. There could be a little bit of pressure, downside pressure in the short term. SMCI up a little bit. Still looks like garbage. We've got NVIDIA falling from a falling wedge here, potentially lower. I am surprised at the resiliency of a lot of these financial asset classes and how they are staying higher, what I'll say there. And then we've got Bitcoin up 5.3%. That looks good. It's bouncing off this support area. Ethereum's breaking out. I basically said, you're going to get to this resistance area. We could go sideways a little bit, and then you're going to see a large breakout candlestick. Well, that's what occurred today. It's your large breakout candlestick on Ethereum here today. So you're getting it. You could see a downside little, down like a bloody nose. We could get a retest here. Doesn't have to, but a lot of the times we break out and then it might retest and come on back. It may not come all the way back to that line that I drew there. So patience there if we get a down day or two. MSTR, we were up about 10% today, but notice big bearish engulfing candlestick. Then you get a weaker bounce. This is an inverted flag pattern. Then you see a move lower, and then you can still see a stair step kind of move like this. That is possible. That is what I'm looking for. Now, calling tops is incredibly difficult. It humbles the best of us. So all I can say is it has the traits of what a top looks like, and we'll see if it plays out that way. I would find it difficult if Bitcoin and Ethereum, Bitcoin especially, if it continues to go higher, we might see a potential double top or something that is translated higher. So we could see this be a potential top. It comes on down, creates something like this, and then comes up like that. It could do something like that. And that is called the Batman pattern. Hey, Batman, what's up, man? There's other patterns that can also come. You can do a top and then another double top where it comes up and does something like that. There are other things where it translates where we come up, it does something like this and then spikes higher. And that would be your ultimate top here. But this is, I think, the beginning of the topping process is what I'll say. I can't tell you exactly what it will look like. And some people say, oh, it didn't top. The top was over here. It's like, well, it is topping. You guys just don't know the fractals and the pattern setups. So when you look at this, and you can take previous companies like SMCI, perhaps, this is kind of what occurs. I'm saying that we're right here. And then you pull on back and you could potentially come up and make a higher high. There are different looking tops to these things. And eventually you'll get a bull trap and then fall back down. Before these moves, you generally get a long sideways action consolidation before the big top move. That is your wave 4. This is going to be your wave 5, your wave 4 pullback, your wave 5 move. And then this is where you get the big move lower. So I am proposing that MicroStrategy, here's your wave 4 consolidation potentially, and then the big move up, and then this could be putting in some sort of topping pattern. We don't know what it looks like yet. And then the VIX is really low and it's being held down quite well. So that's what I've got for today, guys. Give me a thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website. That is finding-value.com. We got that coupon code Black Friday, one word. If you want to try to use it, go ahead and take advantage of it. And then the yearly memberships have the bigger discounts if you want to join. It also locks in your discount for future recurrals as well. But that's all I've got for today. So we'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.